Hey everyone, for those of you that don't know, I will be launching my first course next week. So I am finishing up making all of the slides for my course, and then I'm going to be recording all of the different modules for my course. And so today I kind of wanted to go into a little bit of detail about how I actually make my slides for my courses. And so I will show you the first kinds of slides I originally made when I first had beta clients. I'll pop it up here for you now, and you can see that they are really oversimplified and not very nice to look at. And so I've decided to change to using Canva to actually make better slides that I think look a little bit more professional and are a little bit nicer to look at. So I'm going to get started and just kind of show you how I'm making my slides. Okay, so we are in Canva, and so you can see here that I have a bunch of my presentations that I've already done. And so what I've been doing is, once I made my first presentation, is I've just actually been making a copy of it and then making my next presentation on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And so now I have a copy of my presentation. So I've already made the majority of my presentations. This is one of my last ones I need to make. So the one I'm going to be working on is talking about different conclusions and future directions. So if you're going to make a new one, make sure you're retitling it, because if you don't, they'll sync back together, which can be very frustrating, as I've experienced before. So I actually started creating these based off of this template you can see on the left. This was the original template. You can see that I've changed it a lot since then. To me, it was a little too like elementary school. So I've changed it a lot, but that was kind of my original like inspiration for mine. So if you want to find this same template on Canva, you can look at it there. And so basically I'm just editing my entire thing. So each thing here has its own text box, similar to PowerPoint, where I made all of my slides beforehand. I'm changing this, and to make it look a little bit nicer, I'm gonna bring that down. So that's kind of my first thing. And then I have this slide, which is the different components. So because this certain presentation I had 4 components, in this specific presentation, I'm actually only going to have 3 components in it. So instead of rearranging these, I'm just going to go to something that I know already only has 3 components, and I'm going to add it in. And so if you go into your folders and then into your designs, you can go into a design and you can actually add in a single page from a previous design. And I'm going to add it as a new page, and then I can delete my old page. And so this is going to be so yeah, I'm just basically, instead of having kind of a more boring outline or a typical like kind of presentation where you just have your 3 bullet points of what you're going to cover, I am instead kind of putting it into this new format where it's just a little bit more visually pleasing, and you can kind of see more that these are the components that make up everything. And so in this case, the conclusion of a defense is generally 3 types of slides. It's your conclusion slide, your future direction slide. So in this case, your conclusion is basically 3 sides: your conclusion, your future direction, and your acknowledgments. And so I'm including that in this format to allow my viewers to basically understand where I'm gonna go in this presentation. And then I like to change the images for what I'm doing depending on what it is. And so in this series that I've made for my course, I'm using elements alone for my images. I'm not using photos because I want it I just want the kind of style that an element gives versus like an actual photo, and to have it more in kind of a black and white thing instead of having really colorful photos, which I feel like is overly complex and maybe distracting. So I've been using specific photos throughout for different things. So conclusions comes up quite a bit in a couple different things. So I'm just using the same conclusions, and I'm going to use the same future directions as well that I have been using. But you can kind of play around and see what you think, works best. But just to have an image that kind of sums everything up. And then acknowledgements I actually have not been using, so this will be a little bit interesting to kind of see one that I like. I think I might just go with this guy, and then I'm turning all of my things into basically black and white. There, it now fits more with the themes of the page instead of using all the different colors. So that's kind of how you can change it into this setup. And so then I'm going to get more into the meat of what I'm talking about. And before I ever start putting my slides together, I actually throw together a quick outline of what I'm going to be covering in these slides, because I found that as I was working through my slides, a lot of times I was just including information that really wasn't necessary because I was just trying to fill out slides. And so I've kind of changed to this way where I outline first and then I include what I'm doing in my slides. Just to make sure that it's not overly fluffy and I'm not taking a really long time to explain something that would take a much sooner time if I would have outlined it before. So I'm just gonna edit my slides, and I kind of already have over here, I have my notebook that kind of has what I wanted to talk about. And so I'm just kind of inputting it in, again, like making my whole outline. Took me like maybe 5 to 10 minutes to do. And so something that I have been kind of working with that you'll see on different things is that if I have a main point and then subpoints that I want to include, instead of having them bulleted, I have my main point and then my subpoints are one size font different. So they're one size font smaller, and that allows it to look a little bit more like an outline without it looking very much like bullet points. It's just something that I think I like a lot in how I'm doing it. So right now, these are all just kind of templated ones that I'm editing. And so I'm just kind of helping them to actually write their, or make their slides for their defense in this case. And so then I've been having, because I'm explaining slides, I've been having basically example slides that continue after my initial research into it. And so I'm gonna put in my new slide. And so I'm actually taking these from my own defense. And so here's one little caveat about Canva, is that right now I'm copying and pasting my slides into Canva. They are a little bit blurry than they are originally, and so sometimes I care to correct this and to make it not as blurry, and sometimes I don't care as much because I don't think it detracts from it. But if you want to make it less blurry, you actually need to upload the photo. So if you go into your uploads, you want to actually upload the actual picture file directly in and then add it into the slides versus the copying and pasting. That is how that will be changed to make it look a lot nicer. In my case, I don't care for this case as much. I'm just including it like this. And then these are my previous slides, so I'm removing those because I don't need them. And then I'm going into my next slide. So I've basically just been continuing to do the same things where I am replacing the previous work with the newer work, and a lot of these, they're not very complex slides, but I think they look much more professional than my original slides did. So yeah, basically just moving in this case I needed to move my acknowledgments so that it's all one word, because I don't like when the same words are broken up across multiple lines, and so I want to make sure that that's cleared out. So in this case I am going to have sub bullets, so I'm actually only going to have 2 points here. So to get this, I'm actually just decreasing it by 1, so I'm going from 28 to 24, and then I'm going to add in all the people they need to think about. So yeah, and if you're wondering how this look was achieved, it's actually the background color is the blue color, and then there's an element placed on top of it that is this separate color that you can see here. And so and that's kind of how the look was achieved, and then you have the white text on the blue background and the black text on this grayish tannish background. And so yeah, that's basically how that look is achieved. And then I'm just going to include, so because this word, which I spelled wrong, is so long, I'm actually going to rotate it out. I don't want it to take up half of my thing when I'm trying to show an example slide. So then I'm just going to include my last example slide. And yeah, and then I basically delete out all my other slides that aren't needed. I always have action steps as my last slide, just letting them know what they need to do next. Is there a worksheet that they have in the portal that they can use, or whatever they need to do? So I'm just kind of including it here. So I'm gonna actually have each one of these as a different the future directions, acknowledgement, and conclusion slide. So that's basically all I do, and now I have all the slides I need to do my module. And so all of these were made in Canva. If you want the link to Canva, it will be below for you if you want to make similar slides like this as well.